Welcome to Bayou Reefkeeping's May Tank of the Month. For this month, we got to go visit Josh Hardy over in Crowley, Louisiana. Josh has a 180-gallon mixed reef tank that we're really excited to go see more and learn about.
Josh, thank you so much for welcoming us into your house and letting us take a chance to look at your beautiful reef tank. Really looks great. Really excited to be here today. So I want to start with a little bit of background about you, kind of what you got into, how you got into the hobby. So what was the first fish tank that you had?
My sister actually gave me a 30-gallon tank with some cichlids, and then about 3 months later I was looking to upgrade for the cichlids because they kept on having babies and ended up finding a 75-gallon reef tank out of Homa, and first thought, hey, I'm just going to do some fish and not really getting the coral. I didn't want to spend the money on the lighting and watching all the parameters. And 3 months after that I bought a 180-gallon, and it's been downhill ever since.
Downhill for the wallet for sure.
Yeah.
So how long ago was that?
Probably close to 5 years.
Okay, so been in the hobby about 5 years. The tank that you're standing in front of, how old is it?
This is probably only a little over a year.
Okay, and was it an upgrade from a previous tank?
Yeah, so the first 180 that I bought was a Peninsula, and I really didn't, like I said, I was only 3 months into a 75 that I didn't know a whole lot about. And once I kind of started learning, I was like, I really don't like this tank. I want dual overflows or just better area to place some kind of scape. And so I found this tank, and it had a custom stand built to fit the sump that's under there, and I've been hooked ever since.
It's a very addicting hobby. There's no doubt about it. So you're standing in front of a 180-gallon tank, correct?
Yes.
What roughly are the dimensions of it?
I think it's 72 by 24 by 24.
Okay.
Yeah.
I had a 180, was one of my first saltwater tanks as well. It's a great size. So I want to talk about, as you kind of come through the hobby, who's somebody that influenced you in terms of your growth in terms of saltwater tanks?
So local here would be like Chris Abear. He's probably, a lot of these pieces are probably from him, and it probably come from Kelsey Guidry. And Mike Tran over in Metairie over there, and man, it just seems like everyone, like Chad Gray with Reef Consortium, quite a few pieces are from him. I try and buy from everyone local.
Yeah, well, you mentioned names, like we literally were just at Kelsey's earlier this month, and actually Chris is on the list for later on. So.
I mean, he did Warwall Coral, so I don't know what he does, but his tanks do wonderfully. And there's many times I've got pieces from him, and I'm like, I'm probably gonna kill it, and he's like, don't worry about it, I'll replace it when it dies. Just try and get it to grow. That way we have some backup pieces. That's kind of where Kelsey come from too, I believe. Just trying to keep the hobby alive.
Yeah, no, that's actually one of the things I like about the hobby, is meeting people, being able to share some of the stuff that you've gotten along the way.
Yeah.
So one of the things that people really like to talk about, they're kind of addicted to, is the equipment on the tank. And so I typically break this down into a couple sections. The first is, do you have any type of controller that you're using to monitor or control any of the system in the tank?
Yeah, it's controlled by Apex.
Okay.
And then the jars are controlled by the Hydrus wave engine.
Oh, okay. So you have a combination of both Apex and Hydros. You're the first person I've run into with that. Most are either one or the other. That's
No, I
very
tried. So I have a bedroom reef tank.
Yeah.
That's a 90 gallon. It would replace the 75, the original 75. And whenever I first started trying to get into controllers, I was like, I'm gonna buy an Apex for one and the Hydros for the other. And the Hydros really didn't work out for me. It kept on dropping Wi-Fi randomly, like
Huh.
just random. And I'm not home enough to reset it. So I just went with Apex for both tanks. And the only reason I have the Hydros is because you have to have them for the ice caps.
Yeah. So what model Apex are you using?
I think this is the A3,
Okay.
and I think that's the EL.
Okay. And then, okay, so you've got the Apex controller. I'm assuming it's controlling your temperature. You're using it for your heaters. You may have a backup system for the heaters, correct?
Yeah, just a cheap UPS backup. The same thing for that tank, just from Lowe's.
Anything else you're controlling with the Apex, the Neptune?
I mean, just like the returns. That way, whenever I hit feed mode,
Yeah.
it'll kill. The same thing for the gyrus. Everything's on a feed. If I hit feed mode, it'll kill it. Or if I hit water change mode, it'll kill all the pumps I need it to.
Okay.
The
Is it
UV, everything.
Yeah, it's controlling the UV. So
Yeah.
you're basically using it for a lot of the power system tank. Monitor. Well, we'll talk about monitoring. I'll get to that in a second.
Skimmer. all
Yeah.
that.
So I see 3 pretty decent sized lights over the tank. What do you got lighting the tank?
So right now is Hydro 64s, but if you see up there, there's hooks there.
I do see those.
It was Orphic icons, but they had some issues and I had them fixed. And Chris had the same exact lights and he had the exact same issues. So once I had mine fixed, I was like, here, take mine. I got these Hydras, and once you get yours fixed, then I'll take those back and stick them back over the tank. And we're just trying to help each other out.
That makes a lot of sense. So you're going to go back to the Orphic.
I plan on it if it ever replaces the lights.
Let that be a note if you're watching this. What is your schedule? How are you run the lights?
They come on at 8 a.m., peak at about noon, and then shut off at 9 p.m.
Okay. And are you running any particular program, blue, whites, or just...
Mostly whites during the day because I really want to see the fish. I don't want to see the coral. Like it's more, I want to see the movement of the fish. I want to see the color of the fish. So I run a little more white during the day while I'm home.
Okay. Do you know your par readings in the tank? Even
Actually, with these lights, no. I actually have a pour meter, but I never.
Okay.
I never checked it.
Not a big deal. Just curious. So you talked a little bit already about flow. So you have 2 gyros that are the ice cap gyros.
Yeah, the 4Ks.
Ice cap 4K gyros. Is there any other internal pumps to the tank, or is,
Just a return.
and then a single pump return, or do you have
Yeah, just one.
And what kind of
It's
pump?
a Varios 8.
Okay. And so in terms of the flow and everything kind of going through the sump, walk me through what's in your sump. Kind of, water trickles down into there.
It's the Ice Cap 36 XL sump. So it has dual 4-inch sock holes.
Yeah.
Which I don't run filter socks.
You don't run filter socks. You just let it go through.
Yeah, I put cups in there just to kind of silence the sound of the trickling water.
Yeah.
And then the skimmer is a Reef Octopus 202,
Okay.
and that's pretty much it.
So no other filtration. You don't have a refugium down there.
No, it has a spot in that for a refugium. I did run a refugium for a while, but I just felt like it pulled too many trace elements out. So I pulled everything out, pulled the light out, and just put biomedia back there. It's like slam packed full of biomedia.
That's interesting. That's probably the biggest change. When I first got into the hobby, it was everybody had to run a refugium.
Yeah,
Keep your
that same thing. I heard so many great things, and it just seemed like like every ICP, and I would kill coral all the time. And since I pulled it out, it's
run much better.
way better.
Wow, that's very interesting. Another thing I'm registering in the back of my head thinking about my tank. You said you have, I noticed that you have other stuff down there. So you have any kind of like, I'll call it mechanical or chemical filtration, like carbon, or are you running GFO? None of that in there? I do see a UV filter, at least I think it's a UV filter running on the side of the tank.
So probably about 6 months after I set this one up, I had restocked it with fish, and they started dying. Snails were like falling off the glass,
Wow.
dying. Coral just completely wiped out. And I figured it was some kind of bacteria. And so I had the UV just laying around. So I was like, you know what, I'm gonna buy a pump, plumb it, and it's helped out tremendously.
So you're running the pump directly?
Yeah,
from
so it's on
back
this side,
corner?
and returns on this side here.
Oh yeah, okay.
It may not look the best, but it works.
And do you know roughly, so what size, do you know what size it is?
So this is a Simplicity 1200. And
Okay.
it's on the very lowest setting it can, because as you can see in the corner over here, if I turn it up a little bit, it'll just blow the sand everywhere. Yeah.
And what size is the?
That's a 57 watt. Yeah.
Okay. And is that the, what's the brand on it?
It's
Is it an
Aqua Violet.
Sorry?
Aqua Ultraviolet.
Aqua Ultraviolet, Aqua UV. Okay.
Yeah.
What about in terms of, I'll call it maintenance on the tank? Do you do water changes regularly? No regular water change. Just if you feel like something's wrong, that's when you go for a water change.
Yeah. I'll test. If something's crazy, then I might do water change, but it's probably been at least 5-6 months since I've done even a 20-gallon water change.
Wow, that's interesting. Back to the sump, I forgot about. Did you say? I thought I heard you say before. Are you running like bio balls or something like that?
It's I forgot what brand it was. It's some little media blocks.
Are they ceramic ones?
Yeah, ceramic. Yeah.
Okay. And you're running that. That's for additional filtration.
Yeah.
Biological filtration in there. So you're not doing water changes. Are you dosing anything into the tank? Do you have like...
So it's on no-pox, and a while back I noticed that nitrates were really low, and I couldn't get them to stay up, so I started dosing Neo Nitro.
Okay.
But I've recently stopped it because it's gotten up there and it's kind of holding steady, so just been on a no-pox.
Okay. Are you using anything to supplement calcium and alkalinity?
It's on a Geo calcium reactor.
Okay. And so that's the CO2 tank over there for that. And is it plumbed? Do you have its own pump internal to the system for or is it feeding off of?
No, so the Geo system comes with its own pump.
Okay.
That circulates it, and then I have the Kimura, the Wi-Fi pump by Kimura that feeds it.
Okay. And so a little bit feed basically in from the sump to the calcium reactor back into the
so I have it pulling out from where the skimmer's at.
Yeah.
And then it feeds back where the return's at.
Okay.
That way it's not pulling the same water back into
itself. Yeah. With that, have you noticed that your pH runs low with that?
It is a little bit lower, and coral growth isn't as fast, but it's helped stabilize tremendously.
Yeah, I think that's what
I've seen. Crazy amount of life come to this tank since I've going to a calcium reactor.
Yeah, it's something that's also in the back of my mind a number of times. Let's talk a little bit about the parameters in the tank. So what do you run the tank's temperature at?
78.
78. So heaters go on at a little bit below 78.
Yeah.
And,
I think it kicks on like 76 probably.
okay. And then are you doing anything to cool the tank?
Nope.
You don't need to cool it. Your air conditioners here.
Yep.
Yeah, that's all you need. What about salinity? What are you running the salinity at?
35 parts per thousand.
And what are you using to measure the salinity?
So I have a cheapo refractometer
Yeah.
from like Petco and then I also have the digital Milwaukee
Okay.
refractometer.
Three kind of main parameters: calcium, alkalinity, magnesium. You testing for those regularly?
Honestly, not
No.
really. Like since I've been traveling a lot for work, so I really haven't tested a whole lot. I've kind of gotten onto the moonshiners.
Okay.
So maybe once a month I might send a test off and just kind of see where everything's at. And I've been trying to keep my hands out the tank and let it do its thing. And it kind of is what it is. You know, everyone, same thing. Whenever I get a new fish or a new piece of coral, like, oh, it's gonna die or it's not gonna make it. Like, survival of the fittest here.
So, do you have any sense from like even your last ICP test what the calcium?
I did check it last week. I think alkalinity is like 8.8 right now, which I really wanted a little bit lower. Calcium's probably about 425, and magnesium was a little low. I try and shoot for 1450, but I think it was at like 1350, so I did add a little bit of magnesium.
All right, that's, I mean, all right in range. So, are you testing phosphates and nitrates at all, or not really?
Not really. Like, I'm trying not to make any sudden changes. That was the issue the first 2 years probably I did reefing. Like, I'm so impatient. Like, if I would see a number off, I would try and change something really quick, and I think that did more harm than good. So I've kind of learned just to let it kind of settle out and see where it goes. If I have some losses, I have some losses. That's part of the hobby.
Okay. You mentioned that you're doing reef moonshiners, so you're sending regular ICP tests to Oceamo or to Oceamo?
Yeah.
And then are you dosing all the elements, the dailies with that?
No, I really just pretty much top off the things that are really low. Like, they say, hey, you need to fix these.
Yeah.
And that's the only thing I really top off.
So you're not doing any of the daily stuff that
No, other than iodine.
Iodine, yeah.
Because it's always been 0. Like, so I've started hitting with iodine, and you can see there's a little bit of cyanobacteria. It was really bad a while back, and I've started doing the KZ CyanoClean, and it's improved a whole lot.
Okay. I mean, everything you got in there looks like it's pretty happy right now. So let's talk about my favorite part. Some people are equipment guys. I'm a livestock person. I love the different things in the tank. Let's start with the fish, because you clearly have quite a collection of fish. Tell us about what you got living in the tank from a fish perspective.
So there is 3 clowns, which these 2 were my first saltwater fish I ever bought right here. They've been with me the whole time.
So they're about 5 years old?
At least 5 years old.
And are they paired up? Are they breeding?
Yeah, they'll lay eggs every now and then if you stick your finger in there, you will get bit. They are very aggressive. The sailfin, he's probably about a year old. Orange shoulder, the purple, and the whitetail bristletooth. I've probably only had them 3-4 months.
Okay.
And then the cardinal fish, one of them is original that I bought with my original 180. So he's been here for 5 years. The other two are probably close to 25, 30 years old from what I'm told. They came from a buddy of mine in Lafayette.
That's a great story to hear, fish that have been kept
Yeah.
alive 25, 30 years.
Yeah,
That's awesome.
and they still eat like they're young. They'll go after any kind of big food that's in the tank. And there is a mandarin, which I don't know where it's at
they
right
can
now.
be in the rocks sometimes.
Yeah, and then I have a male lyre-tail Anthonyus, but
Yeah.
I think he's hiding right here because he sees too many people around.
Yeah, he does. He's the fraidy cat of the group.
Yeah. And that's it for right now. I do plan on adding a couple of more tangs to the tank, but it'll probably be a little while before I do that.
Tangs are one of my favorite fish, as well as the mandarins. I think they are some of the most beautiful fish that you can have. What about invertebrates? Do you have any shrimp, snails, cleanup crew, that kind of stuff?
So the cleanup crew is just mostly just snails. I did the crabs a while back, and it seemed like whenever I was kind of getting into the mushrooms, if I would try and feed the mushrooms, they would just destroy them. So I evicted them, and I just went snail only. There is a red serpent star in here somewhere, but he usually hides out when the lights are on.
Yeah, more nocturnal. No shrimp then?
No, back before whatever kind of bacteria went through here, I had 6-line wrasse, Melanoris wrasse, and I tried probably about four to six between the red shrimp and the cleaner shrimp, and they all got eaten. And I even tried peppermint shrimp, and they all got eaten.
The wrasses took them out.
Yeah, the wrasse took them out, so I was like, never again.
Yeah, I hear you. I noticed that you have at least one clam there on the.
Yeah, I've been wanting one actually, and it's kind of hard to believe, but a lot of these pieces, like the really pretty stuff, I actually won through like raffles on Facebook.
Who do you? Just curious, because there's lots of them out there.
Yeah. So this guy's out of Houston. I fly out of Houston a lot.
Okay.
So whenever I land, I'll call him up. I'm like, hey, I'm coming by and picking my windings up.
Is that J-Max?
J-Max,
Yeah.
Yeah, so
So you got the clam.
I got the clam for pennies on a dollar, for what everyone else wants for that size.
Yeah, that's a good sized clam.
Yeah.
I'm sure he's gorgeous.
And his price is like, I picked up these two pieces this Thursday whenever I landed. I was like, yeah, I'll take those. I'm here.
Yeah.
Got some zoas from them, and I really don't like zoas, but they stood out in the tank, so I was like, I need those.
Yeah, that's where the tank can get addictive. It's like the window shopping. It's like, yeah, I'll take one of those.
Well, I told them, I was like, every time I come, I tell everyone, because I go pick up for other people also around here, and I'm like, I'm just going to stay in my truck and have them bring it out, because if I look in the tank, I'm going to buy something. It happens every time. And sure enough.
I hear you. I get those eyes too. I want to have that. I want to have that.
Yeah.
How long have you had the clam then?
That's probably only 2 months.
And is he pretty stationary, or has he been moving around?
No, he's been right there. I tried turning him straight to put him in, and then I come home one day and he's sideways, and I don't know if he's attached, so I hadn't messed with him. I'm just gonna let him
do his thing.
Yep.
It's interesting. Everybody that I've talked to is clams. They've moved around to found the spot that they wanted.
Nope.
So that must be the spot.
He's
that you
out,
want.
so I'm happy he's alive. So.
Yeah. Awesome. Let's talk about corals. So it looks like, you literally have a mix of, I see SPS in there, I see LPS in there. You mentioned zoas, so there are at least some softies in there.
Yeah, there's plenty of Zoas here. There's a little hammer, torch, SPS, chalices, Montes, Gaunies, whatever, Blastos, everything you think of. I've pretty much got it in here.
Is there a piece in there that is your favorite coral?
It's always been this this home record. That's why I put it in the top center there, and I've had it for a while. I got it as a little chunk, and it grew. It did really good, colored up, and then whenever everything else had kind of died off, it lost its color, and it still hadn't come back, but it's still growing, but it still won't color up. Yeah, it's slowly coming back, but it hadn't died, and that's the one piece I've always been really fond of.
Okay. As it relates to the fish, what do you do to feed them? I know they've been picking all video at the nori clip there.
Yeah, so I try and do nori every day. Usually I do rods every other day. Rods frozen, just
Okay.
original frozen.
How much roughly you feeding?
Maybe like a quarter size piece, like
Okay.
a little chunk.
And that's it?
Yep,
And nori once a day, and
that's it.
That's it?
That's if they get it every day. Like I try and keep it kind of low because I did fight with high phosphates, and I know that the more they eat, the more the phosphates are going to make. So
yeah. In terms of are you doing anything to supplement the feeding, like any vitamins or anything like that for the fish?
No, not for the fish. No, and the coral, same thing. Like I might feed some the coral feast food, probably once every 3 months if I remember. Like I'm like I hadn't done it in a while, and I'll throw a little bit in there and turn the return pumps off and let the coral feed for a little bit. But for the most part, just feed the fish.
Okay. And I mean, they seem like that they're
Yeah,
they're
I'm telling
happy
you,
in there.
this is probably like one of the best the tank's ever looked, and consistent anyway.
And look, one of the things that a lot of people say, I heard this from Kelsey when we talked to him, people say it a lot online, consistency is
Yeah, that's
important.
what it took me a really long time to step away from looking at numbers, trying to reach a certain number, and just let the tank settle out and do what it needs to do. If it looks ugly for a while, you know, it's going to look ugly for a while, and just get over it.
That's probably really, really good advice. In terms of the the tank itself, any challenges that you've had with the tank, and what did you do to overcome the challenges?
Yeah, I think it was some diatom that was in there that was killing snails. It killed fish, coral, and so that's the whole reason I added the UV and kind of monitored what I was putting into the tank. I slowed down on feedings and got really into changing out my DI resin filters, all that, to try and mitigate any kind of bacteria or anything coming through the roadie water. And that was definitely a game changer whenever I did that.
So that the UV cleared up the algae problem you were having for the most part.
Yeah. It seems like it's helped out a whole bunch, getting the right size UV and pump, and it helped out.
And you mentioned something that I probably should have thought about during the equipment, but I'm sure you're getting evaporation here, and I'm sure you have top off. What are you doing for top off?
So the sump has a auto top off built into it.
Oh, really?
It's like a 10-gallon, I believe, that's built into it. So I just take a 5-gallon bucket, fill it up with a little pump. I used to bring I had a brute can that would fill up and roll it over here, but I got tired of doing that. So I just leave the brute can on the floor, fill up a 5-gallon bucket, and roll it over here.
And so it automatically detects when the water needs.
So yeah, the Apex, I have sensors.
Okay. Yeah.
And it tells me, hey, it's empty. Like even if I'm out of town, and the fiance is here, I'll text her like, "Hey, tank needs water," and she'll go fill it up.
Awesome.
She feeds the fish. She doses if I'm out of town for whatever I need. If I tell her there's some kind of issue, she'll come check it out.
Pretty good.
I kind of threw her in the hobby.
Well, I think all our wives, when we get into it, or our fiancés, they kind of get involved too. They almost have to at some
Yeah.
point. We talked about challenges. What do you think, through your lifetime here with the reefing, has been the best piece of advice that you got along the way?
Just be patient. I'm not a patient person. If I want it, I want it right now. And this has taught me to just hang out and enjoy it, you know, while you have it. And whew, yeah, it's been a ride, but
That's actually again fits in along with the theme. Future plans. You mentioned the lights that you want to put over, but I mean, you don't sound like you're a guy who's doing a bunch of changes, but are there anything planned?
no, I've been, so like before I started the calcium reactor, I did the Aqua Forest 1, 2, 3. I dosed that. Then I did Kalkwasser. I did that. And then finally I was like, I need to just spend the money. I want consistent. So I broke down and bought the calcium reactor, and I tried algae scrubbers. I've tried different skimmers. I've had 4 MP40s on here. I've tried different lighting. I've already tried a bunch of different things, and just staying with one thing for a long period of time is the best results I've had.
So I'm curious, how long has it been since? I mean, other than the lights, which you mentioned, how long has it been since you changed anything in the tank?
Probably 8 months.
Wow.
Yeah, other than the skimmer, because back before whatever hit the tank, after I set it up, after, you know, I think I had like 22 fish in here at one time. So I was like, I needed a bigger skimmer because it wasn't pulling the bio load out.
Yeah.
And so I got the bigger skimmer, and then like a month later, that's when everything kind of started going downhill. I was like, well, let me ride that out and put the UV on there, and it has been uphill ever since.
Awesome. Well, that's great. What if there was one other thing that you would say, I want to point this out about the tank? What would you point out to me?
I don't know. It's such a it's so addictive for how much money it costs. It's it's been a wild ride, I tell you that.
I will say that Antheus did make an appearance. He just circled around the front of the tank there and then went back in the rock. So he did make at least a little bit of an appearance there. Yeah, he went in the middle rock. Anyway, well, look, Josh, I really appreciate this. This has been a wonderful time, chance to get to know you. I'm excited to take some pictures of the tank for everybody to get a chance to see what you got going on here. But again, thank you very much for inviting us into your home to talk to you about it.
Thank you.
All right.